Any special place that you need for me to sit?
No, ma'am.
Am I the only instructor that comes in? I mean, these are the newbies. I feel like I kind of need
And sometimes
to
Mark takes a little piece of
ask
paper.
them afterwards.
It's a bigger piece of paper, so it doesn't matter what
bring them in
size.
as soon as their students start.
We stir him up and he picks what he wants.
Yep.
Gotcha.
That's what we did earlier.
Yep. So we can draw at the end if you like.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm gonna get this.
In case more people show up.
Yep.
Yes, and you wanted to put the online in.
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. So, real quick, appreciate you guys coming and sitting in for the guest speaker. She is Debbie Kriegshauser, and she has a long list of accomplishments that I will let her fill you in on. But I can tell you that she is NCRA certified, real time. She belongs to, put it this way, she's a federal, U.S. federal court reporter, okay? Which is like criminal and crime, if you will. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce Ms. Debbie Kriegshauser.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for coming this evening. I'm glad you're here. We had this class this morning, so this is round 2. And you probably get the longer class because I thought of everything that I forgot to say this morning. So, anyway, I'm a federal official. I'm located in St. Louis, Missouri, downtown. Work for the Eastern District of Missouri. And I have a vast array of experience, though, so I wasn't just a federal official. I went to a court reporting school called Mid-State College in Peoria, Illinois, and I was in their program, and I don't want you to get mad at me, but I was there for 18 months and finished the program. I am a steno writer, and I know we have voice writers and steno here, so I'm here to tell you, steno people, you can get through this program faster. You just gotta want to do it. You have to say to yourself, I can, and you have to want it. You have to really want it. You just put your heart and soul into it, and you can do it. So, on that note, I graduated in 1980, so now I'm going to date myself here. But as you all have to do an internship, I had to do an internship too. Ours was 40 hours of court, and I did that internship in the Peoria County Courthouse, and I hated it. Oh, I hated it. They rotate between judges. And so you'd get this nice judge, and he was real nice to work with. And then the next week, you got this horrible, crazy judge that was crabby and yells at his staff and everything. And these court reporters, the ones that work there, they rotate on a weekly basis. So everybody gets a little bit of working with every judge in that courthouse. And so then I'd go back the 3rd week, and it would be a different judge, and I'm like, ooh, this isn't for me. I want to freelance. So I went into the freelance field, got a job right away, and loved freelancing. I freelanced for 25 years. And so I did a lot of things, loved it. You have a flexible schedule, it's all great and glorious, and you have a lot of unusual assignments, you might say. At least I have in my career as a freelance reporter. I mean, a lot of it is just your straight deposition. I did a lot of railroad work. We have a lot of railroad derailments and that kind of stuff. People that work for the railroad, they get hurt on the engine, switching out cars and that. So we did a lot of railroad litigation. And then I always took it on if there was a medical assignment. We have a lot of doctors' depots, because doctors don't want to come to court to testify, so you go to them. So I did a lot of doctors' depots. Found that I really liked medical work and decided, you know, I'm happy with that. And so I got sent to a lot of doctors' depositions that nobody else wanted to cover. And I lived on the Illinois side, started on the Illinois side, and the reporters in St. Louis, they didn't have to be certified at the time. Missouri was a no certification state. And so they started out and they couldn't handle the medical work. So hence I got assigned to cover a lot of medical depositions and really grew my dictionary as far as being able to cover the medical assignments on that end. And then later on I got involved in patent litigation, got my certified real-time reporter certification, got involved in patent litigation, and let me tell you, that is where the money is. Big time money. They want everything real time at the depositions, and they want that transcript the next morning, so it's always a higher per page rate. And then when you come to court, I can tell you literally, every patent case that we have in federal court is real-time. They want real-time feeds to the attorneys. They want daily copy. All of these fees add up. We have our per page rate in federal court. It's $3.65 per regular turnaround. 30 days is considered regular turnaround. Then we have 14-day expedite, and we have 7-day expedite. We have daily at $6.05 a page. That is added on to the $3.65. So you can see how this all will start adding up when they want the dailies and they want the real time. And so normally if we get a patent litigation case and they want immediate turnaround with real time, it usually averages out to like $15 a page. Just one page and you're making $15. I was proofreading here and I was showing the class earlier. This is a trial transcript that I'm proofreading. This is one day, 280 pages. So you can figure out how that money adds up. However, when we do a daily copy, we split it up because that's a lot of, there's no way I could get that out overnight. And so we'll do a half a day. One reporter will do a half day, another reporter will come in after the lunch hour. So that's how we handle that. But patent litigation is where your money is. Just telling you that from the freelance side and from the official side. So I continued to freelance and did that for quite a while and got approached about some other opportunities out there. And one day our office, I used to be married and my husband owned a firm, and so we worked together as Kriegshauser reporting. And he got a call one day and he's on the phone and he goes, yeah, my wife's crazy enough to do it. She'll do it. Yeah, I'm sure she will. Okay, I'll let you know. So he hangs up and I go, what was that about? And he goes, it's the senior PGA. They're coming to St. Louis, and they need a reporter to do player interviews of all the golfers. And Arnold Palmer is a featured golfer, and all these older gentlemen, Chichi Rodriguez, Tom Watson, and all your older golfers, and who have now, many of them have passed away, which is really sad. But he goes, they want you to call them if you're interested. I go, oh, heck yeah. I think this sounds great. So I call them, and I find out that you're not going to get paid. You know, they want somebody that will do it, and hence that's why nobody would take on this job. But they will give you 4 passes for the week to use, to give out to whoever you want. And you will be doing media interviews in the media room, and you will provide a transcript at the end so that the TV stations, the radio stations, everybody can use your transcript, and they're quoting them word for word. You know, they're not paraphrasing what these golfers said after they came off the course. So I took it on. I'm thinking, I want to do this. So I did, took it on, and it was fun. I got to walk the course all day long, and I went to the gift shop and I bought one of those flags that, you know, they put on the pole for the golf course. And I sat there and I had every golfer autograph it. So I have this flag now that has Arnold Palmer's autograph on it. Every golfer that participated in this tournament signed my whole flag. And to me, that's worth a lot of money. It's priceless. You know, so in reality, I did get paid for that job. My family, I gave my family the tickets to the golf course, and Anheuser-Busch was a sponsor that year. So Anheuser-Busch donated all these prizes. They had Endiron chairs, they had coolers. So I would work real late because after they came off the course, I would, you know, do the player interviews, and I had to type it up real quick. And I was doing it real time on my computer, so it wasn't that long, but then I had to print it up, put them in little folders and bind them. And then by the time I was done, it was like 9 o'clock or 9:30, so I'd walk out of the media center to go meet my brothers who I gave the tickets to. And they had all this stuff there, and I go, what's this? Oh, nobody was hardly here today. We won this cooler, we got these lawn chairs, they won a boo-goose bunch of stuff. And so they were, you know, they loved it. 4 days on the course, meeting all these professional players, so they were in heaven. So that was one of my jobs. I really appreciated that one. Liked it a lot. Got called the following year, 2 years later, for another course. It was the regular PGA Tour, and this is Tiger Woods coming to town now. So I did that in 2001. And we started it, and that's when 9/11 happened, right, during it. And so we did all the initial rounds, and it got to the tournament that started on Thursday, and they canceled the whole works because of 9/11. So I didn't get the chance to actually I was out there on the grounds with Tiger Woods. I didn't get the chance to meet him or anything like that. But these are the kind of things that can happen. My court reporting teacher in school always said, you will have 15 minutes of fame doing something in this field. You will meet some famous person. In all walks of life in this field, you will meet somebody. If it's somebody on the witness stand, if it's somebody at a deposition. I got involved in the OJ trial because Sharon, I can't even think of her last name now, but anyway, she's from St. Louis, the gal that was killed or murdered or whatever. And so they needed to interview Nicole, oh yes, Nicole, thank you, Sharon. They needed to interview her mother who lived in St. Louis. So all the people from California came to St. Louis to take her deposition, and I got to report that. So I thought that was neat. And it was really amazing because all these media people are there, so it was kind of exciting. And you're trying to be in closed quarters, but you do get really great experiences in the freelance world. So I kept freelancing, and then I got approached about, can you do us a favor? We have this deaf student that's going to college an hour away. Can you just do a presentation on cart recording, what that involves? The state of Illinois had called me. So I said, sure, I'd be happy. I'll just show them what it's like, and they can go from there. So I drove out to Centralia, Illinois, gave this demonstration on cart recording, doing classroom cart recording, and set up my machine and my laptop and everything, and the staff at this college was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. And the parents, yeah, I don't know if my son wants this. You know, I said, hey, I'm just here to give a presentation. That's it. You know, I'm just supposed to show you the technology. So did that, packed up, went home. 2 days later, I got a call. The parents love that idea. They think their son will really benefit from that. And so, can you do it? And I'm like, well, I'm a freelance reporter. I cover all these depots. Like, yes, I can. Well, the state of Illinois will pay you if you'll just do that. So every day for 2 years, I drove to Centralia, Illinois, and went to college with this student. He was getting a degree in agriculture. So needless to say, my steno dictionary was lacking because I really didn't take any depositions about birthing calves or pigs or horses or working on small engines. Small engine repairers was one of the classes that he took. So we got through it, and needless to say, we had some funny times because things would not translate correctly on my dictionary. I was given the books ahead of time for the classes, and sometimes the teachers will follow along and do chapter 1, chapter 2, or sometimes they would, let's just jump to chapter 12, and I had not looked at that chapter. So needless to say, you know, we're human. We are not perfect. We don't live in a perfect world, and you just try to do the best you can. Yes, I had steno that didn't translate very well, and we laughed about it because we would just laugh what it translated into. So you do have those circumstances that happen, and that's just a fact of life. That's how I look at it. Everybody really needs to concentrate on doing real time. People are scared by real time. Don't be scared by real time. Now in federal court today, I have bad days. I have good days and I have bad days. And my judge doesn't hold back if he says, hey, not having a very good day today, are you? And I'll say, you know what? That's a sign to them when they see how trashy that real time is. Did you see how fast the speaker is talking? We'll have somebody on the stand in a trial. And I don't hesitate at all. If the garbage coming up on the screen, that tells the judge, whoa, we need to slow down here. It's a sign to him. So real time works great with the judge because they realize they are talking too fast. And then they'll cut in and they'll say, sir, you need to slow down, or he'll get on the attorneys. Doesn't hold back getting on the attorneys at all. I'm sorry, Miss So-and-so, you need to slow it down. You are talking way too fast. I can't even comprehend what you're saying. So it's great, and then all of a sudden the real time's all fine and dandy again. So real time is great because it's clues to the attorneys, to the judges, whoever needs a kick in the butt sometimes to say, hey, help me out here, I'm dying. So it's good. So don't be afraid of your real time. Don't be afraid that it's not perfect. We all are human. So remember that, okay? So then I did the 2 years at Kaskaskia College with going to this school and helping this deaf student. And we got done, and he's going to graduate. And he goes, well, I decided to get another major. I want to get a degree in computer science. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't drive out here another 2 years. This is a 2-lane highway, by the way. It's not even off the interstate. It's a 2-lane highway in the rural area. And when we had bad weather, it was hard to get to this college. And I said, oh, Chad, I just can't do this anymore. And so we were able to locate another reporter who was interested in doing it. So she went out there for the next 2 years and did his degree in computer science. But he loved it. He actually loved it because he was the star student in class. Who else would be? I mean, he had a disc to refer to at night. You know, everybody else had to take their own notes. He had a complete disc of the whole lecture. So, of course, he was going to be the star of the class. So, Chad loved it, and we got to be very close over that. So then, kept freelancing, and in 2002, I got approached by the federal court. Somebody suggested my name to do a job share with one of the reporters that was there. She wanted to go part-time. And so they needed somebody to fill in the rest of her time, or the rest of the week. So I gave it some thought, and my mom and dad were always after me, you need to go to federal court, you need to go into court. So I thought, oh, I'll give it a try, and I had the best of both worlds at that time. So I took the part-time job, and since I was a part-time person, I could work in federal court Monday, Tuesday, or no, the other reporter had Monday, Tuesday. We split, or we rotated Wednesdays, and I had every Thursday and Friday. But on the other days, I could do deposition work. I could continue freelancing. So I had the best of both worlds. And now I've got benefits. I have insurance, and it's like, whoa, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm not getting any younger, and I'm sitting here paying my own medical insurance, paying for everything, and realizing, wow, they got a good thing here in federal court. You get benefits, you get a retirement plan, you get a savings, TSP account, and you can write off some of your expenses against your salary, and it's like, this is not a bad gig. So a couple years later, my co-partner that I did job share with, she decided to retire and just be a stay-at-home mom. Well, now she's into captioning. She has a captioning company of her own. So I took over the position as a full-time reporter then and gave up the freelance, let it go. And you know, there's pros and cons on both sides. As a freelance reporter, you have flexibility. You are in charge of your schedule. You are in total charge of your schedule, which can be good and it can be bad. So let me tell you, when I was doing depots and I had a 10 o'clock depot and I was done at noon, I was at the store. You know, I'm buying groceries. I'm going to the mall to go get a birthday gift for somebody. I'm running around all the time. And then at night, I might have to work on a transcript because, you know, somebody needs this deposition transcript. At night, I'm working. On the weekends, I'm working. And it's really funny, but if you're married to a court reporter too and you both freelance, where does your income come from? You have to get those transcripts turned around because that is your bread and butter, those transcripts. And so we found ourselves working all the time. You go on vacation, you take it with you. I hate to say that, but you do, because you have this guilt that comes over you as a freelance reporter. Oh, I can't be gone for a week. My gosh, I'm not getting any pages out. And my husband at the time was just the worst. He was the worst. He just couldn't even enjoy himself because he had so much work to do and so many pages to get out. We couldn't enjoy a vacation because it was just all this, we're not making any money just sitting here on the beach somewhere, you know, it's just not going to work for us. And so it was trying at times, and you found you were taking your work with you wherever you went. You went to a convention, you took it with you. Because by golly, when you went on a convention and you were out of town, there was going to be some attorney that would call and say, I got to have so-and-so's depot. And you would say, well, I'm at an NCRA convention, I'm in San Francisco. Well, I got to have that. I got to have that now. So you just found yourself, you just took your laptop wherever you went, whether it was for pleasure, business, or whatever, you were taking your work with you. So now I'm in federal court, and in freelance, remember, too, with the depositions, you transcribe everything. Now you get to court. You are not transcribing everything. Only if requested. If a lawyer needs it for his client, or a plea, or a sentencing, you transcribe it. You take a trial. You don't transcribe it until they order it. You know, they may order it 6 months down the road. Now, generally, our trials are they end up getting ordered, and so you work on it then, but I'm not working in the evenings no more. I'm not working on the weekends. I don't take any work with me on vacation. You know, it's great, and now I have full benefits. So you have to weigh every situation. If you are a freelance reporter and you ultimately get married or you have a husband and they have a job with the company and they provide your insurance, freelance is fantastic. You don't have to worry about your health insurance if you have a spouse that carries the insurance for the family. So you have to analyze these things. Am I good about doing a savings account or a retirement account for the future? I was terrible. By the time I quit freelancing, I'm like, I don't even have $1 saved for retirement. You know, what am I going to do? And so it just, you really, at this point, really need to analyze where you want to be and how your financial picture is going to look down the road. You know, how can you support yourself? Look at both angles, because I'm telling you, I don't regret freelancing. And I would have never had the opportunities that I had, like with the Senior PGA Tour and just the different things I've done. I also got to cover the Shriners put on a convention in Orlando. The treasurers, all the treasurers from every Shriners group gets together in Orlando in June, and they have a meeting and a convention. So think of it, this is just the treasurers. They needed somebody to report their meetings. So, yes, I took it on. A reporter from California who knew me from going to all the national conventions contacted me and asked if I would be interested in doing that, so I took that on. It's all financial data. And you get to be real good, though, with your number bars and everything. But it was a very challenging job. And they take whatever you give them in a text format, and they print it in a booklet that goes to every Shriners club across the world. So everything you took down was put into spoken word on black and white. So that was interesting. They paid very well, but it was long days. You're at a hotel and you're going to their meetings, and then I tried to work on some of it a little bit, but they gave me time to get the finished product out. But that was another experience that I had freelancing. I was telling them earlier, you just never know what you're going to walk into in the freelance world. We had a deposition of an elderly gentleman that needed to be taken. He was not in physical health to come to a law firm for a deposition, so we went to him. We get to his house. He lives out in a rural area, and he had no air conditioning. So it's like, and it was so hot in there. So they decided, let's just take this deposition outside. Now, let's back up to technology here, back up the technology, and we have paper trays, okay? So we're out there taking this deposition on this porch, and the backyard goes downhill. We're kind of on an incline, so I'm sitting like this, and the wind comes along and decides to take the paper out of the tray, and you know, it's just unraveling, and I'm out in the yard, you know, scooping it up, and I mean, this is, you just don't know what you're going to walk into in freelance. I got asked to do a deposition. If you know anything about barges, these guys get on the barge, and they're on there for 30 to 60, maybe 90 days, and we needed to get a deposition of a fellow that was on a barge, so they knew he was going to be at this port on this certain date, so we met him there. I got on the barge with all my equipment and everything, and we took the deposition right there in one of those tugboat things. So, you know, like I said, freelance is fun because every day is a different experience. Federal court or state court for that matter. Now I'm parked, my car stays in the garage, I don't have to drive all over the place. And I'm getting to the point at my age, okay, this is okay. I can just drive to one place now. I go to the same courtroom every day, or if I'm covering for somebody else, I go to their courtroom. But it's, you know, I enjoy, I'm kind of glad I did the freelance first, and now the court, but yes, had I gone to court right away, I'd have a hell of a retirement account right now. I sure appreciate that. So some people would always tell me, you need to get in court, you need to get in court. No, I like this freelance, and now you appreciate it. You know, when you see hindsight's 20/20, right? So always keep that in mind. And so, like I said, you just gotta compare your pros and cons with freelance and officialship. If you're doing freelance, you need to keep track of your mileage because you are driving all over. All of that mileage is tax deductible, and a lot of people just throw it away because they don't want to keep that log, that mileage log. You really need to. If you're paying tolls on the highway or your parking fees, everywhere you go to the law firm, you have parking fees. All of that stuff is, you can write that off. Now, as a courthouse reporter, official, you're driving to work, you don't get to write any of that off. That's just, you're going to your station, your duty station. So that's not tax deductible. Your expenses for your equipment, your software, your maintenance agreements, you need to take all of that into consideration. That is all right, all tax deductible on both sides. Doesn't matter. But you need to keep track of your expenses for that. Okay, so I probably should back up to my experience. I've gotten involved in a lot of committees. I became involved in the Illinois State Association and went through all the ranks there and was president of Illinois Association for 2 years and got involved on committees. I'm telling you, I don't care if you're a student or a working reporter, get yourself involved. Whether you attend, you become a member, you can become on committees. Presently, right now, I'm on the Teacher-Student Committee for NCRA, which is the National Court Reporters Association. And we have 2 students on that committee that are involved. They love it. You know, we need student participation. I'm involved with the Missouri Court Reporters Association and then NCRA. You can see my resume. I've been on a lot of committees for NCRA. Started off with membership, and I'm like, oh, I hated that when you had to call people, you know, if you want to renew your membership. And I became the #1 recruiter. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want I don't care. I don't want to come back to this. But started with membership committee, and then went from there to different other committees. I'm on TAC committee, which is, anybody know what TAC committee is? Test Advisory Council. I write the tests that you take for NCRA. I'm one of the writers, one of 12 writers. And speaking of that, we currently have a student contest going on, which I hope you all participate in because we have great prizes. And it doesn't matter who takes the test or, you know, what school, if you're a certified school or not. I know you guys are certified. But it's a student contest, and I wrote these tests. It's a literary and a Q&A, and you can pass one or the other. And I talked to Mark earlier, and you folks have been given everything that you need for them to administer the test, so I hope they do. It's 2 tests I wrote, but they're marked off for any speed, so the teacher can dictate it at any speed and pull out whatever portion they want to use for the lower speed. But it's about the Olympics, because this is Olympic week, so what would be more fitting than having dictation about the Olympics? So the literary is on the history of the Olympics, and the Q&A is on Shaun White, who just became a gold medal winner. So I hope you enjoy them. I hope you take them. I really, really tried my best to make them very easy. Now remember, I am an official test writer for NCRA, but I know what the word count needs to be, what the syllabic word count needs to be, and I really dumbed it down so that it would be easy, so people would pass it. But anyone that participates in the contest, their name will be featured in the JCR magazine, which is the magazine that National puts out. And I don't know if any of you get this magazine at all. Anybody here? You need to be student members if you can. Take advantage of these student rates, even if it's the state associations, if it's the federal, well, USCRA. I'm also on USCRA, which is United States Court Reporters Association. But National Court Reporters Association, the NBRA, for the voice writers in here. Join those organizations. They have student rates. No better time to do it than as a student and take advantage of those student rates. They all put out magazines and that, and these magazines are great. This one in particular I pulled. I mean, you might think you're not going to get anything out of the magazines. Here's an article on an online experience. This is a student, online experience, and he's writing all about it. There's great things in here. There was a list of, so you're going to be a freelance reporter. What do you all need in your deposition kit to bring? There's a whole list in here. It's great, and I just lost my page marker, so I can't show it to you. But these are really vital, these magazines. Take advantage of it, whether it's NCRA or NBRA. And I've met the NBRA folks over the years. I've put together several conventions, and they're a nice group of people. So use those resources because they are resources. And if nothing else, if you get into a funk with speed building, they're going to pick you up. You're going to read an article that somebody's going through the same exact thing that you're going through. And it just really pumps you up. So take advantage of those resources. I stressed to the other group earlier about, I know you have an internship or externship here as well, but you don't always have to wait till you're at that point to go out. Find a court reporter that's out there working. Go job shadow. You don't have to take your equipment. You know, just sit in the courtroom with them, or just sit side by side if they'll allow you. Some courtrooms won't, some will. I have no problem. I let people sit with me when they come in, and I love it. You know, they actually get to see, they feel like, oh, I really feel like somebody here. You know, I'm sitting at the bench with the judge and the court reporter and the clerk. You know, get that experience. It just kind of boosts you up if you can. Or just go in and observe, because court is open court. You know, so always keep that in mind. Unless they tell you it's a closed courtroom, court is open court. So you are more than welcome to go sit in the back. I know people before that have actually been a student and brought their machine in and just sat in the gallery very quietly so that they weren't distracting anybody and going that route. So again, another resource, take advantage of it. But always remember professionalism and ethics. Dress the part. Please dress the part, because I have seen people that haven't. And I have to say though, the majority of the students that will come in and job shadow with me, they have come in and done so well with dressing professionally that the judge or the court staff thinks they're one of the attorneys on the case. So it's great. I love that when that happens. You know, that's kudos to you. You have dressed the part. You've done very well. Also, ethical concerns. If you are going to sit in with a court reporter and you're listening to dictation, you might have the chance to listen to a sidebar that's held or private information. You have to remember, you are in training. You're not that registered reporter sitting there, but there are confidentiality concerns. If they are discussing something confidential, please keep it confidential. You can't go running out of the courtroom and say, you're not going to believe who just got charged and who came in and da-da-da. You really have to watch your ethical obligations. If there's matters that are held at sidebar or in a closed courtroom, but they allow you to stay in. Most judges will. You're a reporter in training. They won't let you, they won't make you leave. So take advantage of the opportunity to have done that job, but also consider the ethical obligations. You are now a part of that scenario, and you really need to watch for privacy concerns. Any questions so far? Okay. Yes. Yes, and so I'm going to get ready to talk about that next. So you're out there. These are little tricks or things to kind of pick you guys up. You know, when you get knocked down, you're not doing well, pick yourselves up. You know what? If you will listen to any of these interviews this week on the Olympics, when they interview these gold medal winners, you know, they talk about how many hours they put into the practice of this. And Sean White talked about the other night, it was so good about, you know, you get knocked down and you have to force yourself to pick yourself back up. This is no different. This is really no different. The dictation knocks you down. You don't get the test. You fail the test. It has knocked you down. You need to use that as a learning curve. And I talked to one of the students earlier. You know, I told her, I said, transcribe those tests. Don't get to the point and you got to a bad spot, because she said she's bad with this, and she gets to a rough spot and she quits, throws it away, and doesn't finish it. I said, finish it. I want you to finish that test, because I want you to analyze your errors. What is making you get caught up? What is holding you back? You have to analyze those errors. Finish that test to the end, then decide if you're going to turn it in for a grade. But finish it. Don't get to that one rough spot and say, nope, didn't get this one. Go on. You know, it has knocked you down, but figure out why it has knocked you down so you can pick yourself back up and get back on track, because that's the only way you're going to get through these speed levels. You can do it. Tell yourself. It is a mind over matter issue, folks. Tell yourself you can do it. You saw that one skier the other night and she puts on her glove. I can. I want you guys to do that. I can, because you can be a reporter. You have what it takes. If you're a voice writer or a steno writer, you have what it takes, but you gotta convince yourself you can do this. Because you can. We need you. We so desperately need you, folks. Myself and many reporters are very nearing the retirement age. There are so many job openings out there. There are so. So don't be thinking, well, I hope I get a job when I graduate. There are jobs everywhere. And so that's where I'm going to go into this. I'm going to pass around. This is when I got in a slump when I was in school. I would open up that JCR, became a member right away, because our teacher, they made us become members of NCRA right away. We got the magazine and that. But I would look in the back of that magazine every time it came out. I wanted to see what jobs were posting. And that was my, I don't know, gumption, or, you know, it's like, oh, I want to be a reporter there. I want to do that job. Oh, I would love to get that job. And I'd always pick Florida or Hawaii, you know, something that was glamorous. So these are current job postings. I printed these before I left St. Louis. So I want you to look at these, and some have descriptions, and if they don't have all the details you'd like to see, I want you to jot down jcr.com, which is the national magazine, because I don't think you need to be a member. You don't have to have an access code, and I think you can pull up the magazine and see what the job openings are out there. So you can pass this around.
And Debbie, we have a couple of online questions.
Yes.
One, how long did it take for you to feel really comfortable out in the field?
Okay. You always have the butterflies. With any profession that you do, you have butterflies. I finished it in 18 months and went out to work right away. And you know what? It's a learning curve forever and ever and ever. Like I said, I got involved in the medical work, and oh, I'm telling you, I wish my mom was here right now, because I can tell you how many times I took an eye doctor one day. It was horrible. And I'm like, I'm just going to lose my job. I don't know how I'm going to put this transcript together. I never took a recording device with me during my freelance years. And we'll go to that. And I was proud of that, because we had a teacher in Peoria who said, don't. You're going to turn it into a crutch. If you take a recorder with you, you're going to turn it into a crutch, and you're going to depend on it, and you're going to drop your skills. So I never did, and you know, since then technology's advanced. They come out with audio sync. They came out with these nice little microphones that are pens that you can just lay on the table. You know, technology's changed, but I didn't have that at the time. And I can tell you, I've gone home many a nights crying, thinking, how am I going to put this transcript together? And it's amazing, because it was there. I just did it right away. Well, it was fresh in my mind, and it was a technical eye doctor. And you grow by that. Every time you have an experience like that, you grow from it. Here's another stuff to pass around. And to this day, this transcript that I'm proofreading right now is a trial on synthetic drugs. I can tell you, I have never had these cannabinoids and cathinones drug names ever. It is constantly a learning experience. So you're going to think, oh, I got this is easy, and you're going to get thrown on another assignment that's just going to throw you off for a loop. It's always a learning curve. So hence, you know, what do we practice on? We practice on our word endings, our root words, you know, just things like that, so that we can figure out later when we do the transcript, what is this word? You know, how can I figure this out? And thank God for Google, because I love Google. And I can put a little phrase of something in there and it'll pull up the right word. It's amazing. So I'm an avid user of Google every day. Even case citations. Like I'll mess up writing a case citation and I'll just have parts of it and I'll put it in Google and the rest of the thing will come up. It's like, yes, this is great. This is awesome. So don't ever forget Google. Did I answer that question?
Yes, and we have more. Let's see. Another one. Is it possible to become an official reporter directly after certification, or is it unrealistic?
No, it is not unrealistic. And let me post this around first too. So it's pretty common that people will go into state court officialships, okay? And that's very common. Usually you're referred by somebody and the judge says, oh, you think they're a good person? Okay, we'll hire them. And it's pretty easy to get on for state court. Nowadays, it's very easy because we have a shortage. We have so many courts not covered. And I'm also on the United States Court Reporters Association. I'm on their board as their 8th Circuit rep, and I am the rep for 5 states. I was trying to give earlier, and I start down in Arkansas, Mississippi, and I go up through Missouri, and I have Iowa and the Dakotas. So it's funny how everything's divided into circuits. I'm the 8th Circuit. But we talked to the other reporters, and they were talking about, yes, our state courts, we have all these job openings, we have no reporters. Let me tell you, you're looking at those job postings right now, you can see there are job postings all over. I am going to share with you, this is public knowledge, but this is the pay scales for federal court. Now I am going to tell you, federal court, it's not about those degrees. It's not about really how many years you've been a reporter. They look at those certifications. You know, I started with federal court and I had just gotten my certified real-time license, or certification, and it bumped me up 5% of the starting salary just because I had that CRR. And so a friend of mine that was working in federal court said, why don't you get your RMR? It gives you another 5% increase in pay. And so I put my mindset to it. I'm like, oh, the test is so fast. And I put my mindset to it and passed it in one shot, all 3 legs of it. So I was proud of that. Real-time test took me 7 times. And you know, I'm here to tell you, it can be hard. You know, I probably did it backwards because taking the RMR about killed me because I wanted to write perfectly. And when you take the RMR, you know it is fast. And as my friend told me, just get something down for everything. Just get something down, you'll figure it out. You really will. Which is what I did and was able to put that transcript together. But when you apply for federal court, it's like you are the cream of the crop. They're going to look for the best. So it will be a posted job, and resumes will come in, and I can tell you, because we do this in St. Louis, the minute somebody has an RMR or a CRR, that transcript goes to the top of the pile. So just keep that in mind, because you can do your CRR right away. You can get your RMR right away. There have been several people that have. I waited till later. I didn't have my RMR the whole time I freelanced. I did it after I went to federal court. So don't give up on those certifications. It's so much easier to do when you're younger, let me tell you. It really is. I don't know, when I took the written knowledge test, I thought those were the easiest things. I couldn't imagine taking that test today. But seriously, keep building your resume. So I'm going to pass these around. These are all federal courts everywhere. So these are the starting salaries. And if you have more certifications, it's going to show you how much higher your salary can be. So that's current as of today.
We have another question.
Yes.
What is the hardest thing about being a new reporter right out of school?
Selling yourself. I'm going to tell you, it is selling yourself. Are you the professional that shows up at that deposition? Are you dressed appropriately? Do you have what it takes? Do you have the right equipment? Are you providing a service? And your personality, I'm telling you, is everything. Your personality is everything. You have got to get along well with people. You have to be outspoken enough to speak to the attorneys, find out what they want order-wise. You can't just sit there like a bump on a log and think, you know, just no communication. You've got to have the communication skills. That is the hardest thing. You start out there as a new reporter, you are afraid to speak up. The testimony's too fast. Oh my God, I'm a new reporter, I can't say nothing. And I've been there, done it. You don't want to do that. And when I told you about the eye doctor deposition earlier, I'm going to tell you, I sat there and I had to stop this eye doctor. And you hate, because they go, oh, you're that reporter, that's not very good, you know, and I felt that way. And I had to stop this eye doctor several times and say, I'm sorry, doctor, I did not get that. And the attorneys, you know, because remind you, they are paying by the minute for this doctor's testimony. And it went on through, like, this deposition was 3 hours. And it went on, you know, the attorneys, you know, what's your problem? We get done with that depo, and like I said, remember, I went home in tears because it was so horrible. And I'm packing up my stuff, and the attorneys go, boy, I'm glad you were here because I didn't get any of that. I just wanted to kill him, you know, because he's the one that just got, And this happens to you. The attorneys can be your friend and they can be your enemy at the same time. So I'm telling you, that happens a lot, where they get up and they go, I'm sure glad you were here because now I got a transcript and I can see what he said. Especially when you get people that you can't understand. That's the other nightmare. You're a brand new reporter. You're struggling. You know, it's growing pains, folks, and you learn from it. Yes, okay, they know you're a new reporter, you're green. You grow from these experiences and you develop. So you got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. So it's rough. It is rough. You want to go out there prepared. There's a lot of people that get up to the higher speeds and they quit school. And they go, I got it. I got this in the bag. I'm going to be fine. I don't recommend that at all. Finish. Do it right. Get the encouragement that you know you did it right. You graduated. You passed from the court reporting school. Finish it. Don't go out on your own. Because those that go out on their own, they never finish. They say they're going to have the motivation, but they don't. And I can tell you from a lot of experience that people that have left early and gone on their own, or they never get certified. And then, like Missouri, when I started off, Missouri was a non-certification state. So if people didn't pass, guess where they worked? They moved to Missouri because you didn't have to be certified. Now they went through all the hoops and everything, and they're a certification state. So now you have to be certified in Missouri. So that's what reporters did back in the 80s. Oh, I'm going to work in a state that you don't need a license. But think about it. You really want to get that RPR license, because like an RPR license got you to work nationally. A lot of states do reciprocity. You move from one state to another, you got that RPR certification, you pay the fee, and you could work in that state by reciprocity. So keep all those things in mind.
I just want to let everyone know we have about 5 minutes left before 7 o'clock class. So if you have any questions for her, please ask now.
When you're practicing, I wrote some notes. Don't get discouraged by, if you have the, I don't know if you use the NCRA test tapes or what you use here, but don't get discouraged by practicing with those, because I can tell you as a test writer on the committee, we all write tests, and we're getting ready to meet here in a couple weeks. So I write several tests, and everybody on the panel writes. And then we sit there around this boardroom table, we all bring our equipment with us, and 2 of us dictate, and the others have to write every single test that we wrote to see how does it feel. Are there brief forms in there that they can use? does it flow right? Does it got kinks in it? And the bad ones, you know, we'll get down and they'll say, okay, vote, who votes for that one? And you know, they'll say, yeah, that was a pretty good test. It's got to be a majority. And then some will go, ugh, that was awful. That was awful. So what happens to that awful test that recorder just spent hours writing? And let me tell you, folks, it takes hours to write a test. It's not easy to write a test. We use it as practice material. We don't want to throw it away. So I'm telling you that the practice dictations will always be harder than the real test. So keep that in mind.
We have another question for you. One last question, I guess, from online. They would like to know, is there anything you wish you knew then that you know now?
Wish I knew then. Well, don't hold back as far as communication. You know, whether you need them to slow down, speak up. That's another thing. You have a lot of mumblers. And, you know, I wouldn't say anything as a new reporter, and I only hurt myself because I was struggling then to put that transcript together. And so I look back at that thinking, why? I want to prove to them. I had to do reverse psychology on myself. I'm like, wait a minute. I want the perfect transcript. I want the most accurate transcript. So if they're going to say anything to me derogatory, I'm going to tell them, hey, look, I am a professional here, and I want a transcript product that represents 100% of what was said here. And so I had to do reverse psychology on myself, and that's how I got over that hurdle of, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? What are they going to say if I say slow down, or I didn't understand that, or I can't understand this witness, he's mumbling. I look back at that, and I wish I had done that earlier. Okay? And I'm going to tell you also, when you're doing test dictations, I'm also a certified grader for NCRA, and so I grade a lot of tests. And you know, we came out with this great program, My Real-Time Coach, which I absolutely love, and I'm glad we did that. But when they came out with the program, they told you you had to take this training, you had to learn how to upload that test, and so it could go into the automatic grading system. And if you couldn't learn that, and if your test didn't upload, it was an automatic failure. I don't know if they ever told you that, but if you didn't learn how to upload that test, your score is 0. But NCRA contacted me and asked me if, you know, we've had quite a few students that just have an issue with uploading that test. So they send it to me and they say, Debbie, will you look at this and see if you can get this test to open up and print it and grade it manually? So I do that for NCRA, saving some people's rears, I can tell you, because I have a lot of tests that are passing tests. And technically they should have been fails because they couldn't upload that test. So I grade them and I send them back to NCRA and fax them back, and then I go back on My Real-Time Coach and I insert the score. Like the one I graded 2 days ago was 10 errors on a Q&A. You'd think that girl would have died if she got a 0 and failed? Because that's what My Real-Time Coach told her. You get a preliminary score after you do your test. She got a fail. She had a 0 because her test did not upload. So she still probably to this day doesn't know if she passed or not. She had 10 errors on a Q&A. It was a beautiful test. So I sent that off to National, and they'll let her know that she passed. So yes, I do try to save you. I really love students, and I really want you to pass. I want you to be reporters. Yes.
Back to the internship information you gave, and you were saying get the experience, you know, it's of course, you know, there's no harm in it. That's just you saying the experience, you're getting that, but you're not going to get, of course, your time from the school and whatnot.
That you have to work out with the school, but you know, the more job shadowing you can do, it kind of pumps you up, like, I can do this, you know, I can get through these speeds. Put it into practice, folks. I didn't come from a wealthy family at all, and so when I was at court recording school, I was 3 hours away from home, and I got done with my classes. I was in the dictation room. Back then we had the cassette tapes, and I was practicing, and then I would go back to our dorm room, and at night I was practicing. I didn't go home on the weekends because my family couldn't afford to bring me home, and so practice on the weekends, you know, but that shows I did a lot of practice because I had to do something to fill my time. I love day school programming. I'm sorry. I know you guys are a lot are online or in night class. That's the only thing I have told a couple people that just couldn't get over that hurdle at the very end. And I said, quit your job, and it'll go real fast. And it does. You know what? You're exhausted, folks. You're exhausted. You are working a full day job. You're trying to do this program. And kudos to you. I applaud you for anybody that can do it. That is amazing. You know, if you can hold down the fort and have a full-time job and do this on top of it, I commend you. I couldn't. There is no way I could. I worked for 1 month in a hotel in Peoria, Illinois. I lasted 1 month and said, I can't do this. And so I just quit that and went back to helping out at the school office. But otherwise, I was practicing. I wasn't one for a lot of TV. We have another question, or are you done?
You know, I was just letting everyone know that it's 7 o'clock if you want to have to go to class, but Debbie is still here answering questions if she likes. I just didn't want to.
Well, I have the RMR at 260 words per minute, and you know, I was telling the class earlier, those steno machines, they tell you, like, I'm forever, my steno machine is forever is telling me 270, 300, 330 words. That is not an accurate word count, I can tell you, because it has nothing to do with syllables or number of words in 15-minute segments, but my machine is forever getting up to 270 and 330 on that steno writer. So what about I did,
What is her name?
we had typing class. I'd go back from typing, and I was at 75 words a minute for typing. Yes, don't forget those typing skills, and do your proofreading, folks, and learn your uploading. Oh, and no creative editing. That's my other pet peeve. So people do word drops on a test. And this is another test I grade, and this is a true story. So this is my term. I call it creative editing. So this person had a drop. The drop was 5 words. They decided to insert 20 to try to guess what the dictation was. The person failed. They would have passed had they not added those 20 words. So I get on a roll about creative editing, where you're going to guess what was said, and you really blow it. Don't do that. Do not do that. If you're going to guess 1 word, that's a different story. But to take 20 words and insert them into a test, thinking, I think this is what they said, that just hurts you. So don't do that. Today? No? No, what's me? No. And I did just get my captioning license just this year, so see, you can keep learning.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it.
I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed it. And we have faith in every one of you.
Oh, before you guys leave.
All right, don't forget my name.
Oh, you know what? We're going to let Debbie pull the name.
Oh.
We're going to let Debbie pull the name.
Oh, no, you pull the names.
Oh, no. Somebody say, oh, this one is out.
No, that must have been the one.
I think Diane should pull them.
Yes.
Her name's not in there, I don't believe.
Hey, I'm with Jimmy. That's it.
Oh, that was
No,
it.
that's not it. It's
That's not it. All right. There
No,
you go.
they're all different sizes of paper,
Yeah.
so.
There you go.
Oh,
Yes,
Jimmy,
oh,
put
yes,
my name
and-
this time.
Marlene has all my contact info, so.
What in the, how many pieces of paper?
That
was blank.
That was blank, so that person lost.
Lisa Marie Harris.
Oh, she walked away.
She's not here.
Okay, she's not here.
She's not here.
Uh-oh.
You want to
You have to be present to win.
I'm not drawing another one after that.
Mark, go ahead and draw it.
All right.
That can't look, Mark.
All right, I can't look. All right.
Grab one.
He drew all the ones earlier.
Phyllis Watson. Oh, that's an online person.
That's
Phyllis Watson. You won.
Still on there?
Oh,
Still on?
Phyllis is still on there.
Phyllis, are you still
Are you still on there?
Well, she gotta be present.
She got to be present
She
too.
present on
Do you
one.
get her face or just her name?
So her name, she'll chime in on chat.
Phyllis,
are
are
you
you
there?
still online? Let us know.
Phyllis.
3,
There's a delay. There's a
2,
delay.
1.
Oh, there's a delay. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll get online in a few minutes because there's a delay. So, but we got two gifts, right? You got
Yes.
two? All right, we got one more to pull.
Get the short one. That's me. Oh, now.
There it is.
Oh, Phyllis is there. Phyllis, you win.
Okay, that's
So,
two.
there we go. We got our two. Thanks for playing.
Classmates, you should be excited that
Now, Denise.
All right. Hey, online, thank you for participating and playing, Phyllis.
Here, Phyllis, here's your prize.
We will get that mailed off to you, Phyllis, right away. All right, you guys have a good night.
I got to meet him. I did a memorial service for him. Yeah, he lived down here.
I was his court reporter.
Were you really? Oh my gosh! I did his memorial.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you guys came.
Thanks for the candies.
You're
I'm
welcome.
from Savannah. When he moved, he took senior
Oh
status,
my
came
gosh.
down to Savannah. I had the privilege of working with him for a couple of years.
So when I started, he was
lovely.
down here already, okay? And so then he came back to St. Louis. He would come back periodically, and then they had a memorial service while he was still alive, okay? To celebrate his life. So I did that one, and then after he passed, I did the memorial service for his passing. So I did two of them.
Well, the first time that I worked with him, he needed a court reporter to go down to St.
So
Simon's. They put me up at the King of Prince. I was staff, and from then on, he said, "I want you."
Did you like it working for him?
Well, oh, absolutely.
See, I heard nothing but